And now the football season is over, so pour one out to the end of football for 2025, even though the Ohio State offseason has been going on for 6 weeks. Welcome to the live show at Roosters. It's a fun, casual joint. That's Jeremy Birmingham right over there. Zach Boren in the house, fresh off of a full moving weekend.
Yep.
How you feeling?
Sore.
Okay. Brad Robinson in the house as well, so we can talk about special teams. But Super Bowl Sunday has come and gone, and we have 8 long months ahead of us. 7 months? I don't know.
I was going to say, when's football next?
Spring football starts in 14 minutes.
No. We got a month to go for that. I can't wait for
a month. When's the next legit game? Week 0 of college football. Do we know that? I figured that's a stat.
August 28th, right?
Yeah, that'd be the week before Ohio State's banger of an opener on September 5th.
August 28th to like January 25th.
You told me you wanted to talk about the schedule, Zach. You don't have it written down?
No. Week 0 is August 28th. I knew that. I didn't, what are the days? I figured you knew it was 211 days till kickoff.
Why would you think I would know that?
Because that's just something you would know.
No, I don't care that much. Football, we need a break from football every once in a while to remember why we love it.
Yeah. All right,
so let's take today, and then tomorrow we'll start counting.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I think the Aviators play at the end of March, so we can go see some football out there.
Shout out Coach Ted Ginn Jr. I woke up on Saturday morning. There was a big event over at whatever the tours were doing, and I woke up that day and had a follow from Ted Ginn Jr. on Twitter, and I was like, "Am I supposed to be at this event today?"
You're supposed to be covering recruiting for him.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Free agency.
Yeah. Have you thought about I'm thinking about last year, the home run derby, and how much you love just getting back out there and competing. Have you thought about calling Teddy and just asking if he needs a fullback? Or
Berm, the way I feel after moving boxes
you
for
got
3
one
days.
Good rush in you.
Listen, I might have one good rush in me. Yeah. Put me in on like 1st and 1 from the goal line, and I'll do it. But outside of that,
Todd Haley's going to call that fullback dive.
Yeah, outside of that, no, I don't have it left in me.
I think they could use a long snapper, though.
They didn't call me, but I do know they talked to a couple specialists from the Ohio State roots, but I'm too busy with school and work.
Well, and you told me that you tweaked your back at the grocery store, so maybe
maybe
our prime.
It was a back spasm. It's a back spasm walking out, but
maybe our primes
persevered.
Are all gone, and some of us never had them in the first place. Did you have a rooting interest on Sunday, Brad? You know a few of those guys pretty well.
So I know a lot of guys on both teams. So one of my best friends is Thayer Mumford, former roommate. I still talk to him all the time. I'm the uncle to his son. So I obviously had a big vested interest in him. Travion is also someone I'm very close with. I went to the divisional round where they played the Texans, and it was great in the Patriots section. But it was also very sad watching CJ that game. Really torn in that section as everyone would celebrate the rough plays he was going through. But it was good to catch up. I know they're a long snapper. I trained heavily with their punter. We're from the same area up north, so I know those guys. And then for the Seahawks, obviously I played every year with Jackson, and then also I know they're a long snapper. So a lot of vested interest. I was pulling for the Patriots because of my close relationship with Thayer, but it was Buckeyes on both sides. And sadly, I wanted a good football game, and that's not what we got.
We did not.
But the Buckeyes are Super Bowl champ.
I thought there was a chance when I asked if you'd come join us on the live show this week that you would be at the Super Bowl because of Thayer. But you told me that was probably financially irresponsible.
The prices, even the discounts that the players got, was obscene. It was $4,000 for a ticket. I'm like, no.
That's would you pay that, Zach? Super Bowl?
No.
Yeah, I like being at a party.
I would go out there and party. Now the caveat to that, would I pay that for a national championship game, college football? For sure.
Okay.
Yes. The NFL just doesn't do it for me.
That's fair.
Just
the game experience just doesn't feel.
That's what I'm saying. The game experience doesn't do it for me, especially the Super Bowl. Like you go to the playoffs and even the national championship game in college, like people are into the game. You go to the Super Bowl, it's very corporate. Right, like there's some fans, but it's a lot of.
What was the get-in price for like the nosebleeds? I think it was still above $6,000. So it's like, what type of fans are filling that stadium?
It's all corporate stuff. Yeah. So it doesn't do it for now. The parties leading up to it, that would do it for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you could also just go out to Scottsdale and have some great parties out there and watch the waste management. So that's
correct.
That's where I'd rather be. Berm, how'd you feel for Jackson on Sunday night?
I mean. You were hoping that he would have a night. They did kind of use him as a decoy a little bit. I thought that the Patriots had a pretty good plan to stop him. I just
Concuss him?
Well, they just didn't really think about Kenneth Walker for some reason,
Yeah.
which that was one of the worst Super Bowls I've watched in a while. Honestly, pretty boring, frustrating to watch because you're like the Patriots weren't really that good. Maybe it's like I'm watching them. I'm like, I don't know who. Like this team is obviously they won a lot of games, but they kind of just backdoored their way into the Super Bowl.
There was no big plays. I mean, Kenneth Walker had some like bigger runs, but like there was no big like drive defining plays. The first like big play was technically the Seahawks touchdown, but even then like
The game was over
it
at
was
that
after
point.
the game was over. So then like the Patriots obviously scored really quick, but there was no big games. It was basically like Kenneth Walker would break 15, 20 yards. They'd have one more first down, up, kick a field goal, and that was it.
Yeah, I mean, my brother's a Seahawks fan, as we talked about on the beat, and so I watched it with him, and I'm glad that somebody in my family got to have their team win a Super Bowl because I'm a Bengals fan, so that'll never happen.
This might be a hot take. Now,
Here we go.
yeah, Seattle's defense is elite,
Mhm.
like elite for the NFL. But for how good of a product the NFL is, I feel like the game was just bad football.
Mhm.
Like it wasn't even good football. You know what I'm saying? It was Sam Darnold's the winning quarterback, but 19 of 38, just over 200 yards, right? Like didn't play great at all. You think about the Patriots, and my goodness, the offense was terrible.
I think what's interesting, Zach, we talked a couple weeks ago about Julian Sayin handling the pressure, and Drake May was clearly impacted by that last night, but from Seattle. So like, even once you get to the NFL level and you're in year 2 for Drake May, because people are saying, well, his reputation is tarnished, or what he did throughout the year being second in the MVP race, that was all phony for Drake May. Like I don't think that's true. Sometimes you're going to be under pressure, and you're not going to be able to recover from that. He'll probably be better for that next season, which is the same thing we're hoping happens for Julian.
Yeah, you could tell the pressure was getting to Drake May, and you had a great comparison. It's what Julian looked like against Indiana and Miami, right? And I hate to say it, it's kind of the blueprint of now what teams are going to use to attack Julian, to attack Drake, and unless those guys are making adjustments, unless the coaches are calling different plays in those situations, you're kind of going to see a repeat of that, right? So Drake May going into this offseason, what's Josh McDaniels going to do? Is Drake going to understand that? He's going to watch the film. It's the same thing you hope Julian does, right? And I know one of the big things, I guess the upside about Julian is so many people talked about him using his legs more in those situations. Drake May was the top rushing quarterback in the NFL this year, so he is doing that. So it's kind of like, where does Drake go from here from that standpoint, because he is using his legs already?
So where would you like to see, if you're Ryan Day or Mickey Marotti or now Arthur Smith, and we're putting that focus back on Julian in this offseason for him, what's the blueprint? How do you get that done? How do you find that next step of growth for him?
Well, first and foremost, I think it's just taking control in those big moments, right? I think you do that with the leadership standpoint. He needs to become more vocal. I think you saw late in the year when those games became tight, a play needed to be made. He was kind of just cool Julian saying, right? Not in a cool bad way. He's just not much emotion, which is a great thing for some quarterbacks. Some coaches will tell you they don't want their quarterback to get too high or too low. But at some point, the quarterback's got to step up and be the vocal leader and say, "Hey, it's time to go." And you saw what Will Howard did in the national championship year. And you look at some of the top quarterbacks in the NFL; they're vocal. When that time comes, like, "Hey, I'm done being cool. Now the dog's coming out in me," right? And so I think that's first and foremost, is let Julian find his voice in the locker room, around the team. And then the other thing is, man, you got to keep him on his toes all offseason, because come the season when you're going to Austin week 2, what's he going to do in some of those situations, right? Is Texas going to have him on his toes all game long? Is he going to make the plays, or guess what? Is he going to wait for the play to come to him? Because when he did that, it really didn't work out.
Brad, where would you like to see that growth?
I think Zach hit on everything there, and I think the offseason's big with how the coaching staff and the strength staff approaches that. Another thing, like back with the Will Howard reference, I think Fernando Mendoza is a great example of super high IQ. I have honestly so much respect for him throughout the year, just what he's able to do. But the biggest thing is I got to put this on Coach Day and Arthur Smith, is what we saw last year is we had a young quarterback And when we got into situations when he was not feeling it, not stepping up to the moment, we had zero play calling to help him get out of that. And for the elite weapons we had on that offense, there should be no excuse for that. So you have to recognize that. Hopefully you don't have to deal with that, but also because who do we play week 1? It's
Ball State.
Yeah, so that's not really going to it's going to get everyone kind of going. But then you go right down to Texas. Hopefully, like Julian makes that step before then in the offseason before he gets then. But if not, that offensive play calling game needs to be ready for that to get him in those situations.
But here's the other thing, right? Is that the play call system shuts off at 15 seconds before the play clock, right? And so one of the biggest things that Coach Meyer implemented when he got to Ohio State, and I know Ryan's big on it too, is two things from a quarterback. There's always a check, right? A lot of times it's one play can tag with another play, and it's a quick check, and you see Julian doing that. The other thing, though, is within that check or within that initial play call, there's also hot routes that you can basically one-up a guy and say, hey, listen, I know everyone's doing this. You're doing this. And that was something that Julian, I think, needed to be much better at against Indiana and Miami, is you saw him try and check from one play to the other. Well, guess what? That play's not going to work either. What you really need to do was be able to throw hot or tell the one guy in the slot or tell Jeremiah, hey, listen, I know pressure's coming. I know you're supposed to run, a 12-yard dig. Now I need you to run a slant, right, or whatever it might be. And you didn't see that, so I think that's where the big growth is. But Ryan can't do that. Play calling can't do that. That's something, hey, shutting off. Ryan can't tell Julian pressure's coming. Look at it, throw hot off of it. Like, that is something that from a young quarterback, it's hard. And that's kind of what Drake May looked like last night, right? Like, he needed to throw hot off of guys, and he just wasn't.
Well, the reminder, and we saw it against Indiana, we saw it against Miami, saw it last night in the Super Bowl. When you can get pressure with 4 guys, everything changes. The entire game changes for everyone. And the Seahawks were not blitz. I mean, they brought a couple, guys off the corner or Witherspoon and stuff like that, but it's just the 4 defensive linemen beating the guys across from them, and that's what Ohio State dealt with in the Big Ten championship game against Miami. And to your point, like, that is on Julian to figure out, okay, the play is the play, so how am I going to survive this play? And that is where Julian, I think, was like not really taking command of the offense in those 2 games, and when he struggled in the first half of both of them. Because, again, in both games, I thought he played a lot better in the second half once the coaching staff made some adjustments. But when you are a first-time quarterback and you're playing, 12 games versus nobody, really, and then you all of a sudden you step up the level of competition and you just weren't ready for it. So I don't know how you mentally ask Julian to do anything different. It's just like, now like, it's not really – because no one can look at last year's results and say, well, Julian, you didn't do this, and this during the first 12 games because – there was no test. And so then once the test happened, and this is something that Buckeyes fans were very adamant about, that a lot of the national media kept saying, well, Ohio State hasn't been tested. They haven't been tested. We don't really know what you're going to get. So now everyone knows that there is a little weak spot in the Julian saying armor, I guess, which is just get in his face. And so how does he change that without playing more football?
Well, I can guarantee you this offseason, all the coaching that's going on with Julian saying they're not looking at any of the 12 games that were played in the regular season. All the tape is Indiana, Miami. I can promise you that.
Well, and that's – you have to – I said this to Birm the other day because we've spent a lot of time already the last 6 weeks talking about Julian Sayin and how he needs to improve and looking at Indiana and Miami. You only ever improve through failure. We've heard Ryan Day say that a million times. You've heard Urban Meyer say that. Brad, you've experienced that in the Woody as well. Like, and that's not to say, oh, well, it's okay. You lost this time, Julian. You're going to, like, I know that he's a competitor. For what we have or have not seen from him as a leader, Zach, at this point, or at least being outwardly vocal, we know he wants to win because I think the way he approached January and February at this time, the way he got better through March and April, still not a finished product, the way that he was able to build himself to be the starting quarterback to play against Texas last year, we know he's got a work ethic. We know he improved. And you balance that with the experience that he's got, you assume that there's going to be growth. Now, that's not guaranteed. He has to work again this offseason the same way that he did a year ago. I've got a lot of confidence that he'll do that. But, what Birm says, you put pressure in his face, that's true of almost any quarterback. That's the hardest position to play. It's not just Julian Sayin. It's going to need better pass protection. He's going to need better, whether you're talking about throwing hot or communication with the receivers, it's all inclusive, which is why there's not just one thing that we can say he's got to do this offseason.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I think just the most glaring one's the one we already talked about, and that's the leadership vocal aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I am a firm believer, no matter if you are the quarterback of the offense or the quarterback of the defense, you have to have a voice. You have to have that mentality where when you get in the huddle, you command it. You command excellence from everyone. If you're just running out to the huddle and, momentum's not on your side, which momentum's a dangerous thing, you know that. When you go out there and you address the huddle and act like everything's just normal, you're not gonna get that same urgency from the guys. So Julian really needs to work on that. And there were times in Indiana, Miami, where he could have went into that huddle, grabbed some dudes by the face mask, or hit some dudes on the chest and say, "Let's go. The time is right now. I'm gonna lead us, and you guys need to be there every step of the way with me." Just didn't happen. That comes with growth. That comes with being more comfortable. You just hope he has that in him, because there are some guys that do not. And against the average teams,
Doesn't matter.
No, doesn't matter. Against those really elite teams and tight ball games, it's when it rears its head.
Do you think, more from that build off of that, and then also just your view from your defensive side, everyone all since the end of the season has been talking about how we need to play faster on offense, get more plays in, more possessions. I agree with that, but do you think from the aspect of him taking over those games, making those checks, and like just getting that momentum rolling at a faster pace, does that, one, keep the defense more off so then he can make those checks and the defense doesn't have as much time, where if we're taking the play clock down to 5 seconds every single time, the defense is kind of getting to adjust more and you don't have as much time to keep them on their heels? Could that help him develop in that sense?
Yeah, I think it helped develop a little bit, but at the same time, I also think a little bit of that's on him, right? Like, as a young quarterback, what's Ryan Day and the offense staff going to do? They're going to try and methodically get him into the game to get him feel comfortable. If he comes off the sideline and goes, "Coach," like goes and grabs Coach, speed this thing up, man. Like, let's go. Like, we need to get them on their heels. Like, and he is the aggressor and tells the coaches, like, "Guys, I got this. Let's go. Let's up the tempo. We got it. Like, I got everyone in line. I'm seeing it. Let's move it." That's on him to kind of take control from that standpoint. And any coach will tell you that's what they want to see. They're going to love it. If you have a quarterback comes off the sideline, goes and kind of sits down, looks at the iPad, is very, Joe Cool, they're not going to sit there and be like, "Okay, we should change our game plan." We still need to try and get them into the flow of things, even if we are playing well or if we're not playing well. And so, especially against Indiana and Miami. Now, I'm not saying Julian didn't do this, because I don't know. But just from watching the game and seeing it, I would expect it didn't happen. That's on Julian to come over silent and be like, "Coach, we're moving too slow, man. Like, let's go. We're gonna gain some momentum by going with
slowing
tempo
down Miami's pass rush.
Yeah, correct, right? Like, here are these things that we can do." That's on him to present to the coach during the game.
Also, it's a lot harder for a defensive lineman to know when to start their pass rush if sometimes you snap the ball with 14 seconds and sometimes you snap it with 1.
Yeah.
Because if you always wait till 1 second on the play clock, you know what that means for the defensive line? Like, they know when to go.
Yeah.
And when you're already struggling to protect, like, maybe just vary the cadence a little bit, I think.
Well, I mean, that's things like when I was playing Mike linebacker, we'd always come off the sidelines, and the first thing I'd do is I'd go to Fick and be like, "Hey, man, I saw this, and this. This is what they like to do." I'd be sitting there talking to Ryan Shazier, and we'd always say, like, "Hey, listen, they, if we give them this look, they're always checking out of it. So, hey, we know we're going to slow them down." Or, "Hey, listen, when the running back goes in motion, this is kind of what we're seeing." So, like, you can do all those things. I used to always know, like, hey, there were times when we'd be giving the guys pressure, or there was a different certain look that we would give the defense. Vic, keep that look. They do not like it. Like, they seem so confused out there. Keep on giving that look. Then once they kind of figured it out or settled into it, then, hey, listen, they got it. We're going to change it up. But that's on the signal caller of the offense or defense to communicate that with the coach. So that's the same thing. Like, that's on Julian to be like, "Hey, coach, we need to up the tempo. We need to change tempo." Like, "Hey, center Carson, we're going to go on a different snap count. They're just teeing off on us as soon as I, clap my hands."
Yeah.
That's where I think the Arthur Smith, the NFL hire, can be really good, because Arthur Smith's never worked with a college quarterback. In the NFL, you need, like, your quarterbacks are supposed to be those guys out there that are supposed to be dictating it more. So I think that's a really good hire in terms of, we all talk about, like, I fully believe Julian can take that step, but the pieces are getting put in place around him to allow him to take that step. Yeah. I'm also a big fan of our schedule with how hard it is, because we'll find out in those 12 games whether this team can do it or not. Now, I think it's really hard to go 12-0 with our schedule, but those tests are going to be important. They're not going to be, we haven't seen anything all year long, and there's going to be those moments for adversity, and where he's going to have to, at some point in one of those 4 big games we have, he's going to have to go to the sideline and be the leader and be the guy that turns things around.
Did you think that was part of the issue at the end of last year, the untested narrative about that, the Buckeyes?
I think yes and no. I think it shouldn't matter if you're a great team at the end of the day, and I think maybe we just had a false impression of how great we were all the way around, and sometimes that can be a sickness in the locker room that spreads fast if you are doing really well. Because I mean, that was a big deal in 2019 when, I mean, we were blowing everybody out in 2019, and at one point it was like everyone had to pump the brakes, like, hey guys. I think it started like Damon Arnett was the first one to mention to like a media person that we could win the Natty, and everyone was like, the next day they're like, dude, no, like that was like, so like kind of pulled back, but it travels fast in that locker room.
I don't ever want Damon Arnett to pull back in the media. That's
it's
you got to go full bore.
National
in the locker room that travels fast, and it's like it can derail things. So that's on players. I think they got to be the one to keep things going, and then coaches as well, because it affects everybody. So I think it's an easy cop out to say, they weren't tested, that's why they didn't do well. But then it's like, if they're truly good and truly great, it shouldn't matter.
You had some thoughts on the schedule. We didn't get to them yesterday.
No, we did not. I like the schedule. It's a challenging schedule. I would say you look across college football, it might be one of the top 5 hardest schedules. And looking back, I don't know the last time going into a season when you sat there and you're like, Ohio State's got a top 5 hardest schedule in the country. Like, when's the last time we had that conversation? Hasn't really happened in a while.
It's a tribute to the Big Ten as well.
Well, that's what I was just going to say. It probably has a lot to do with the Big Ten. I mean, you throw at Texas in there. Obviously, that's a huge road game as well. But just the Big Ten's gotten deeper, gotten better, all of those things. So it's going to be interesting. I know I'm excited. There are some road tests that are, man, it's going to be fun to see what the Buckeyes are able to do. And actually, all of those games, if you think about it, almost all of the away games besides Nebraska, they're all really tough places to play.
Nebraska's a tough place to play.
Nebraska's not a tough place.
It's also the week before Michigan.
That's what will make it tough a little bit.
Right.
But
that's the
you think of Texas, you think of USC, think of Indiana.
There's always a worse swimmer.
Yeah. Who's the other one I'm missing?
There's always somebody who's the worst on the list. But
you say USC,
Iowa, USC.
That's the one I'm thinking of, right? Like, you think of those 4 of Texas, USC, Iowa, and Indiana. Like, those are legit.
Nebraska, they're known for their niceness. It's not a hostile place.
I'm just saying the timing of that game, the week before Michigan, is not ideal when you have all of the other things that you have to consider.
It is loud. They're just always nice because we usually blow them out.
Yeah, it's loud at the start of the game.
If it's close, they'll be loud. It's a hard environment to play in. They just
haven't stayed close.
Yeah.
I guess I haven't played in it, so I'll have to defer to your judgment.
I've played in it, and we lost. My junior year is when
we don't talk about that game.
Yeah, our boy Joe B was throwing balls.
Was there a passing chart for that game?
That was one of the greatest Ohio State memes in history. The Joe Bauserman passing chart from the 2011 Ohio State-Nebraska game.
So you like it. I was worried that you were going to come out opposed to the schedule.
No, I'm not opposed. I actually think the Big Ten helped out Ohio State with just the positioning of the games. But I love it.
They are back-to-back weeks for the road games. You don't have to deal with that.
Yeah, no. Really, you look at the stretches, like Indiana's teed up with, Maryland the week before, I believe, right? Like, your bye week is right before going on the road to USC. Isn't that bad? Now, USC and Oregon, back-to-back weeks, obviously will be tough going to USC and coming here. But, shoot, if you can't get up for Oregon at home first weekend in November, like, come on, man.
Noon? It's been great.
I think there's
at
least a chance that can go to 3:30 or night.
Yeah.
I think it will be a night game. If you start looking, at the schedule, like, Fox is going to want some of those games outside of just Ohio State. And just like, last year there weren't any really big games, but Michigan and Oregon, I think, play each other, right? Which Fox will want some of that, I believe.
So it is as you were mentioning, the strength of the Big Ten and making the schedule better. It also helps in terms of the broadcast inventory because Indiana, Ohio State, they have already taken that game. We know that Ohio State, Michigan is going to be a noon game.
Yeah.
That's going to be on Fox. And so now they have the top 3 picks. We are programmed, Brad, you're right, to just assume that Ohio State's biggest games are going to be at noon. And that may well be the case.
But there's some other big games out there.
Because somebody's going to have to take, Michigan and Oklahoma. Someone is going to have these other opportunities in Indiana with any of their home games.
Doesn't Oregon go to Michigan this year?
Yeah, I believe
I think they go to Michigan.
Yeah, they play at Michigan and Ohio State, right? Is that?
Yeah.
And even on the day of Ohio State, Oregon, I believe that's the same day as Michigan State. So that's another thing that would potentially be lined up for Fox. I don't know. It's just now you have 10 other games that you.
There's good teams in the league that other people want to watch.
It's a benefit. Now it does hurt that like Oregon's not going to have a 9 a.m. game. USC's not going to have a 9 a.m. game. Like the West Coast teams can't.
No,
host
but
it.
that's where it hurt last year because the big games, which there weren't many of them, were always at USC at Oregon, right? And now I think a lot of those big games are now Eastern or Central, where that noon game comes into play.
Yeah, it's possible. I would not be crazy enough to predict that it's going to be a night game because Fox.
I'll do it.
You're going to do it?
Night game. Ohio State, Oregon at night.
It will be a night game, I think.
Because here's the other part that I threw out or thought about. If, because Ohio State is at Texas, and Fox doesn't want to maybe take the other 2 non-conference games for Ohio State, how long are they going to wait to put their actual powerhouse brand that fuels the entire enterprise of Big Noon Kickoff on their air? Like, they may really want Ohio State, Illinois as a noon game. They might want to jump in and grab the last week in September. They might want Iowa. Like they can't go half the season without Ohio State on Fox. Like,
yeah, that's true. I see them. They already took Indiana, Ohio State. They took Ohio State, Michigan. I really think they'll take Oklahoma, Michigan because that's going to be a big matchup. Second week of the season.
You got the Whittingham factor. So
yeah. So I think they'll for sure take that. And then now CBS, NBC are next up, and for sure one of them are going to take Oregon, Ohio State, right?
I guess I think they would very much want to.
Yeah.
Sitting right there available to him, just like these onion feathers are sitting right here available to Birm, and he can eat those now.
I don't want to, though, because I don't like onion.
Oh. Are you an onion feathers guy? You said you had some on Sunday night for the Super Bowl.
I did.
I mean, feel free.
You don't like onion rings?
I don't like onions of any design, any shape.
All right.
Because you have so many layers.
That's right.
Like an onion.
That's correct.
He is an onion.
That's another Shrek reference today. That's interesting. That's the second Shrek reference in the hour we've been here.
That's 2 thus far, Shooter. Anyway, these will be $3 if you're on Tuesday. That's appetizer Tuesday. You can get those at your local participating Roosters. It's a fun, casual joint. We're going to take a quick break right here, and then we're going to come back for the second half of the live show with Birm, Zach, and Brad. Hang on 1 second.
Roosters has been so fortunate. We just want to be able to give some of that back to the community.
They donate to organizations that are near and dear to their heart, and we're so fortunate to have been with Roosters now for a long time.
They always go above and beyond to help support our foundation to further help veterans.
It's just a wonderful feeling to know that Roosters supports the Buckeye Cruise for Cancer.
All the folks at Roosters are just genuinely kind folks, and they want to make a difference.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters.
Thank you, Roosters.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Welcome back into Roosters. It is a fun, casual joint, and we did do some research in that break, Zach. So it's a fascinating setup for Oregon. They have Ohio State and Michigan back-to-back, but one game is in the Horseshoe and the other is at Autzen. So
that's okay. Michigan goes to Oregon, but to my defense, Michigan does have some big conference games against Penn State and Indiana. So maybe Fox will grab one of those games, and it leaves.
There's some intrigue there with Kyle Whittingham and Matt Campbell tangling for the first time.
Oh, I think that is a prototypical Fox game right there, man.
Yeah, I think there's options, which is good. That's what you want.
Right.
And that's also why the Big Ten needs more conference games, but that's another conversation for a different day. Brad, what's going on with the special teams?
New coordinator.
Yeah, what do you think? Robbie Disher. You told me right away.
Yeah.
Great hire, you said.
I said great hire because Coach Disher was smart enough 10, 11 years ago to recruit me when he was at Toledo.
Farewell.
I remember talking to him a ton back when I was in high school. I think it's great for many reasons. I think he's got a really good track record. But I also, the biggest thing that excites me is it's new blood. Because I look back, I mean, a lot of the special teams hired have been happening from within. You go back to, I think, in recent times, one of our better special teams years was honestly 2019 when Matt Barnes was brought in fresh, and he was brought in from Maryland. We had a lot of success with special teams, and it was like, hey, you're coming here to do special teams. And then obviously he transitioned more to defensive roles, so that stuff changed. But I think you really need the new blood in there. I'm kind of disappointed in the timing is that happened so late that he wasn't there to recruit guys from the portal.
Like his own kicker?
Yeah, his own kicker or anything like that. So I think that would have been nice. I think I've heard some good things about the long snapper we brought in. The kicker's young from Baylor, but I think he's consistent. He's accurate. He's
got a leg.
He has a 51 made, which is good. It's better than we have, so I think that's important.
51. I thought he had a 54.
Was it 54?
I think he has 54.
So I'll take it. I mean,
yeah,
he made multiple kicks from 50.
Yeah,
so
he did.
Turns out you can
I
do
think
that.
he's 3 or 4 from 50, and I think long to 54.
It's allowed. You can.
Sadly, I just want him to make the ones from 20 to 30.
Let's start with that.
Let's start with there. Baby steps, but I think that'll be good. I know there's punter brought in for competition, so I think it's really good. But I do really like the outside hire of a special teams coordinator.
How does a coordinator of special teams actually impact a unit that is so split up and so segmented because there's 4 or 5 different teams on special teams? How does a special teams coordinator actually help? What is that job going to look like? When you said when Matt Barnes came in 2019, what was he doing that was different than you guys had to do in 2020 when he was doing more defense?
Yeah. So, I mean, the biggest thing is I could start actually in 2018 with Coach Meyer. Coach Meyer ran punt. If anybody was up at the front of the room talking about punt, it was Coach Meyer. Coach Combs did kickoff. Coach Schiano did punt return. And which one am I missing? Kick return was.
I don't know. I wasn't there then, Brad. So
the phase. I was missing a phase. Kick return, and that was usually handled by Taver Johnson at the time. That got taken over halfway through the year for other reasons. But so a lot of different things. It was always split up, and then you brought in Matt Barnes. It was the first time we had a special teams coordinator, and then it went from obviously to Coach Fleming, and then from there it was kind of Coach Guerrero was there, and then you have Rob Keys, Gunner. They're more on the level, the analyst level, and I know Guerrero did punt. It was so it went back to the split up roles, which is great, but it's also not great because you have a lot of intelligent, Coach Guerrero is super intelligent. I'm a big fan of him. He should be focusing on the defense and helping that all go and not having to worry about getting a punt scheme ready each week. So I think when you bring in a guy that's dedicated to do all 4, it's a lot more cohesion between it. You can spend a lot more time evaluating the guys for the best role. A big deal about special teams is who's on the bus to travel away games. Is you have to play special teams. That was always Coach Meyer's big thing, but it just makes sense. You can't travel and not be a special teamer. So that's a big deal. It just brings a lot more cohesion day to day, week to week, and then who's on what phases. And then in terms of the interaction with the actual specialist positions themselves, that's different for everything. Usually Gunner and Rob Keys would always spend more time with the specialists, at practice, when it's not a special teams period, they'll be with the specialists, and every coach handles those specialists differently. But I think the biggest thing, that's where I'm really happy that someone's coming from the outside. I mean, we only have one returning specialist, but you need an outside perspective. You don't need the coach that's been with him for the entire time. Last year, I think there was issues of we had coaches that recruited guys, and they weren't making the best decisions based on that because, they recruited this guy, it's kind of on my job if he does well. So I think you bring in that outside guy, he has no loyalty to any of the players, and he can just kind of evaluate it and go from there, and make the decisions to switch kickers or do something like that. So I think that's honestly what makes me most excited. But then bringing back that designated role just brings more cohesion, and I think should ultimately lead to a better product.
How do you scheme up a punt block? How do you draw something up that hasn't existed already? How many different ways are there to actually skin that cat? You know what I mean? There's 11 guys. You're going to go block the punt. How does a guy take over in his first year at Illinois? They block 7 punts. How's that? Yeah. How does that work?
They weren't all punts. Some of them were kicks.
Whatever. Block 7 kicks. Is it just we're going to go do it, or
you got a really good eye for tendencies? So go all the way back to 2018. The punt Chris Olave blocked. Actually, no. Go further back. 2017 Penn State.
7 banks.
7 banks returned the touchdown.
Yes. So
Chris Olave blocked it in 18. In 17, Denzel Ward blocked it. We knew Denzel was going to be fast enough off the edge because it was later in the season, each game, that tackle on the punt had slid down closer and closer to the center. So we knew that edge got shorter and shorter, but that was picked up in film. So someone saw that tendency and said, hey, this edge is shorter. This route A to B is quicker. Like, it's shorter than it's ever been. And even the Penn State special teams coach made that comment after. He goes, I knew this was a problem, and I knew it was going to happen at some point. So it's like you pick up those tendencies, you find those holes. Because usually something goes wrong on special teams because someone messes up. The Miami-Indiana, the national championship game, dude just missed his block. That was a punt safe. That was just a DN deciding, hey, it's punt safe, but I'm going to go be an asshole. Yeah. And he ended up blocking punt, changed the game momentum.
Well, I wouldn't consider it being that. He was a hero.
He was being
I say. So we call.
He was a hero.
We call those.
Depends on your perspective.
Yeah. We call. So me as the snapper on the other side of the ball from you guys. Whenever it's punt safe and the D linemen decide to rush hard, that's when we call them assholes. Because it's like usually like they're not supposed to even go near the punter. But I think
you're
the guy
just supposed to take a step and stop.
Yeah.
That's it.
Quit.
Just
practice.
So that's why from my perspective he's an asshole. But I thought he made a great play and obviously did a lot for them in the game. So I think just being able to pick up on those tendencies and seeing that, but then also making sure you're seeing it on your own side of the ball and preventing that stuff. I think punt is one that we always come in like freaking out. Everybody like, oh, this team really likes to rush. I go, at the end of the day, it's 11 guys got to do their job, and that's what special teams is. So you need a coach that can really week to week evaluate the best guys for that, but then also see if a guy's training like, hey, you keep leaving early on kickoff return. They're gonna hit an onside at you. Like you keep doing this. Like we're seeing these tendencies. You need a coach that can pick up that really well.
I think the fact that Ryan Day looked for that outside hire is important. It's a recognition that it hasn't been good enough, because a lot of the mindset has seemed to be, and Brad, you've talked about this previously, it's like, well, just don't make a mistake on special teams. The offense is so good. The defense is the best in the country. You don't have to hit a kickoff return for a touchdown. You don't have to block it. You just need to catch a punt. Like, that's not working, especially when you only have 4 or 5 opportunities to change the game and you're not maximizing them because of penalties or because of missed kicks. So, like,
especially when you're intentionally slowing down your offense, like that is an opportunity to score points. I mean, it's not like it's inconsequential. If you have a punt block in a game, how many teams lose a game when they block a punt? Like it almost never happens. Like that is a game changing, that is a momentum changing moment that most teams don't come back from in a game.
Look at even last night's game. I mean, for the first 3 quarters, I would have given the MVP. I mean, kind of Walker did really well, but I would have given the MVP to the punter and the kicker for the Seahawks. He ended up finishing 5-5. But then Michael Dixon pinned him down inside the 5.
The long snapping was great.
He was fantastic. Chris Stoll did wonderful.
Fantastic.
Westerville's finest. Went to Penn State, but an Ohio kid, born and raised. But yeah, I mean, how many times did he pin him inside the 5 and 10? And then the Patriots, they weren't pinning them down. So it's like that all factors in. Like when it is that, like when nothing's happening in a game, like that little stuff matters. Then you have a kicker make 5 field goals. Like,
but I think that's when we're looking at it with Arthur Smith and putting Robbie Disher in the same thing and Matt Patricia a year ago, Zach, it's like Ryan Day is looking at he's not just going to sit on his hands and be like, well, this is the way I've always done it. Like you're looking for outside voices and continually trying to get better, which requires Ryan Day to be open to that idea and to have Ross Bjork say, here's how much more resources we can throw at this coaching staff. Like, Ohio State's doing everything they can on that side of the ball, or all sides of the ball, really.
Yeah, no, they are. And I think that tells you everything you need to know about Ryan Day is that he's constantly looking at his program. It isn't the head coach that thinks he has all the right answers and it's his way or the highway. He realizes bringing people in from the outside is best for the coaching staff, bringing in new ideas. Ryan Day is one of those guys that does not want to be stagnant, right? And I think you've seen that with some of the moves that he's made. I think he can continue to make some moves that he hasn't made yet, but maybe those will transpire over the next
What do you
year
want?
or two.
What are you talking about?
Giving the media more access. That's
a great idea.
I know, right?
I'd love to talk to him this week.
So I think he can still do some of those things, but the way that he's open on bringing more people, and when's the last time we had a true? You brought up Barnes, but Barnes was brought as special teams coach, but that year he was still working with the safeties, right? Like when's the last time Ohio State had a true?
Well, Parker Fleming was supposed to be special teams only,
but was he? Coach?
Yeah, he was accountable.
Yeah. Oh, he was?
Yeah, I mean,
recruit and stuff.
Yeah, Disher's not. So I mean,
21 and 22 and 23, he was he was a coach that was under like the 10 at the time.
Yeah, he was on.
Got it.
He was part of the 10.
I did not know that. Then I stand corrected with that. But
well, I mean,
Parker Fleming, the Wildcat.
No one
wouldn't notice it.
You wouldn't have noticed what was happening. That was the problem.
He's the Wildcat.
It was a wild card for.
He's a Wildcat now.
Oh yeah, and now he's
Kentucky
a-
Wildcat.
Kentucky Wildcat.
Oh, I
yeah, he's
I
a
thought he was
Kentucky
at
Wildcat.
Northwestern.
No, he's a
at
Kentucky Wildcat.
No, the other Wildcat.
He went to Oregon for a minute. And
No, and he came with the new head coach to Kentucky.
Yeah,
so
so-
now he's just 3 hours away.
Will Stein.
Yeah.
You can tell that Birm wasn't paying close attention
no,
to Parker
not
Fleming's
at all.
career trajectory.
No.
For good
just,
reason.
I think a couple Buckeye fans probably kept a close watch.
It is interesting though with
Bradley.
Ryan Day because you know Ryan fairly well. We've gotten to know him over the last 8-9 years. I don't know. I mean, you obviously played for him. He's not someone that trusts people very easily, and so the fact that he's choosing to bring in so many outside voices, I think, is like counter to what his instincts are, which is, to your point, say like he's not going to let things get stagnant just because that's what makes him comfortable.
Yep.
And I think the fact that he intentionally chooses to make himself uncomfortable is a really it's a testament to what he's becoming as a coach.
And let me add real quick that he has done this over the last 2 years for sure, maybe 3 years. He is the winningest head coach in college football history from a winning percentage standpoint. So he is still doing that, even though he is winning at the clip that he is.
I think we also you can put it in to contrast to the end of the Urban Meyer era when you were looking at some of those hires, whether it's Billy Davis or Greg Studraw, or it was like status quo and familiarity.
Favor Johnson.
A little stagnant.
And that, was some of the undoing there.
And I think you saw that with Coach Day when he brought in Combs to be the DC. I think that was like outside pressures. It's like, oh, this makes it look so good on paper, and then he realized that mistake.
Parker Fleming had been in the building as well.
Yeah, and sees that. So I think what I've always liked about Coach Day's approach is he learns, and he's willing to learn and accept things and make those changes every offseason. I think that's what you want to see. But the fact is, he's not learning from a 7-5 season. He's the winningest coach, and he's able to keep doing it. But then he's not, and then there's no complacency, and I think that's the biggest thing.
Can't have any complacency, especially not during winter workouts, which are well underway down the street in the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. Hoping that we will hear, Zach, from Ryan Day later this week, maybe some of those early enrollees or portal pickups. It's about that time because we haven't heard from the Buckeyes in too long, Birm. So hopefully we get that in the middle of this week. Stay tuned for that.
Birm, are we going to be able to cover winter workouts? When's that coming?
No,
We're
not.
Okay. All right.
I've asked.
He asked to do a workout with Mick.
Matt drills? Austin Ward and Matt drills?
I didn't ask for that.
I didn't ask for that. You should.
That would be really good coverage, though.
Yeah.
That's
Right?
what you guys have to do. You have to do your own separate mat drill to earn the right to cover the Buckeyes, and it's just a bunch of the media guys going through it.
I would do that, but not the way Zach described Matt drills last week, where he and John Simon were breaking each other's faces off and bear crawls.
You don't want to break Birm's face?
No.
I don't mind. Do what you got to do.
I mean, look at this.
Do what you got to do, man.
Sparkling visage over
Just
here.
do what you got to do. We all just want the best for the program down the street, and we want to be able to share it with the people. So open the doors.
We have talked to them about like Hard Knock style documentaries and things like that.
Because does anyone else get frustrated? Like, it's always during the season too. In the morning you're drinking your coffee on a Sunday morning, watching college football final, and when it changes from like ESPNU or whatever, I'm up at 6 o'clock hour, right, with the kiddos, and then it goes like ESPN2 or whatever. It's like Texas A&M all access or something that comes up, and I'm like, oh my God, man! Like, this is the last thing I want to watch. But if it was Ohio State, I'd be like, this is awesome. So why does Texas A&M have all access, but Ohio State can't?
We're working on it, man.
Okay,
we're gonna do everything we can to bring that to you on the Austin Birm Show and at 97.1 The Fan and 10 TV. This is just a small part of that coverage. I appreciate greatly the team at Roosters, Fun Casual Joint, for bringing you the live show. And thank you very much to Brad Robinson and Zach Boren for hanging out with us. It's been the first time in a long time. Got to get them back in here more frequently. So keep enjoying your vacation, Jay-Z and Bob, which they're about to take another one anyway for the cruise. But they'll be back in here next Monday, and so will me and Birm. Until then, have a great week, folks. Thanks for joining us for the live show. It's Fun Casual Joint.